You're stamped with this label at an extremely young age when you haven't even begun your sexual development. He was stuck in a no man's land where they have no choice but to start to wonder about their sexuality.
I'm Stephen Graham.
I'm Janice.
We've been married for 40 years now, and we have 7 children. We've got 5 girls and 2 boys. And it's been quite a ride. Our son was a bright, intelligent, inquisitive kid.
Out of 7, he was my best baby. Smiley, happy, loved to roughhouse with his dad. His relationship with other boys, I think it began in what you would call a normal way. But as he got a little bit older, his personality was something that his friends who were boys didn't appreciate.
They started perceiving that he was different than them because they were less outgoing.
Verbal.
Yeah, than he was.
Yeah.
And so they started pulling away or started making comments.
Calling him names, making fun of him.
Yeah.
So there was some peer abuse that...
Or wouldn't let him sit in the seat next to him on the bus.
Mm-hmm. So
the
peer rejection started in elementary school.
So as our son got older and went into junior high school, they started physically abusing him.
It was hurtful to see our son being rejected by members of his own gender. We didn't know what to do about it.
Right, no resources, and we had no experience. So when the boys weren't accepting him or when they were saying mean things about him, we didn't know what to do.
You're stamped with this label at an extremely young age when you haven't even begun your sexual development. He was stuck in and I'm afraid a lot of young people today are stuck in that no man's land where they have no choice but to start to wonder about their sexuality just because of their interests and their hobbies and their talents.
And the way the world has said, if you have these interests or these talents, then obviously it means you're gay. One of the things that was coming on big at this time, which was in the mid-1990s, was pornography. And he got mixed up in pornography, and that was one of the worst things that could have happened.
Our son was vulnerable to the pornography. He was set up for it by the peer abuse.
Correct. Yeah.
Saying that
he was not a real boy. You're not a manly man.
You don't have everything it takes to be a real boy.
He thought he was a little flabby, so
yeah.
He went to this new internet to look up some muscle man websites. When he went to this muscle man site to look for some exercise, a couple of clicks later, here's some clothes that muscle guys wear, and a couple of clicks later, here's same-sex pornography. So there was a time when we went to a church meeting that was a particularly spiritual meeting, and at the end of that meeting, he felt so guilty and convicted over the sin that he was involved in.
Secret sin.
That he came to us and said, I have to tell you what I'm involved in.
It's worse than you think. I've actually met on 3 different occasions with 3 different men and interacted with them in a sexual way.
When our son confessed his involvement in this homosexual activity, we were just shattered.
His naturally buoyant, happy personality was completely changed. You could tell he was miserable. He didn't get along well with people, and our son got hurt. And that was my feeling as his mother, that my precious child was hurt.
We tried to get help. One of the things we tried was to go to the church and talk to our local church leader, and they were no help. The advice you get from church leaders by and large is, well, stop that. Don't do that. And if you feel yourself being attracted this way or that way, just sing a hymn or think of something else. We did find through the church, they had a family services program with counselors, and we found a wonderful counselor that, along with what we were doing at home, because we at home, especially Janice, started working with our son to get to the spiritual roots of the problem. At the same time, he was going to his counselor, learning the things that were at the bottom of it, like you've been taught these things and you don't have to believe them. And see, well, he was learning how to unbelieve the lies that he had been taught and replace it with the truth.
Watching our son come out of his homosexual mindset was a really precious experience. It didn't happen overnight. It will be a painful process. Any kind of change and growth is painful. I remember my son lying on the floor in the fetal position, crying his eyes out.
And let me say, you will be in the cultural minority. And so when you take a stand in favor of helping a child overcome homosexuality, get ready for the abuse that you're going to receive from friends and family and the culture that is against you.
When he got over the involvement in homosexuality, I saw that innate, beautiful personality come back. He told me once, I'm singing in the car again. When I drive the car, I'm singing again. And sometimes he would tell me he would just be weeping, tears streaming down his face, because he would just realize I'm getting out of this trap that I've been in.
Our story is different in that he was feeling guilty and confessed about it and wanted to overcome.
We're so grateful that our son still had the basic feeling of right and wrong, to know that he was on the wrong path, and he wanted to get on the right path.
Our son now is happily married. He's moving on with his life. He's doing what he loves. Loved as a child for his vocation. They've got a little boy. He and his wife have been married for a number of years now.
This dark period in his life is now ancient history to him.
Yeah, we wouldn't have chosen this for our son or for our family, but having been given it, we're grateful for what we've learned from it and how it enables us to move forward in the world the way it is today.